We won't need anything in particular today. As usual, if you want to use a block, they're always handy. But otherwise, feel free to not use anything but maybe your mat, some warm clothing, and if you like, something to make you feel comfortable during relaxation. So having said all of this, let us begin in child's pose. So we'll come onto our knees and we might sit on our heels to begin with, if that's possible for you. I know there's maybe some knee stuff going on, so please be mindful with the knees. If you like to have your legs out wide, that might be a comfortable or more comfortable shape to start in. And then if you were to walk down onto your forearms and to release kind of a little bit of pressure from the knees. Now, let's explore how this feels to sit down towards the buttocks. If this is inappropriate for you, you might pop a cushioning or a rolled up blanket between the legs to release that pressure even more. The head does not have to come and lie down on the floor. That's a good thing if you want to use the block here, or you could use stacked fists, stacked hands, wherever you're at, just finding your shape and creating a little bit of movement around that shape. So as you might move a little bit sideways or reach out into your arms, just exploring your options within this shape, not assuming that the one that you landed in initially is actually the perfect position for you. And as you come to be in that shape, I will read a few words from a yoga anatomy specialist that I have shared before, but that would be a nice invitation for the practice today. Yoga is not about doing the asanas or postures. It is about undoing what's in the way of the asanas. In order for asana practice to truly be a yoga practice, it has to be done in the context of understanding that we are challenging our patterns while invoking svadhyaya, or self-study, self-reflection. That is, rather than the end goal, it's the process we're after. All of the benefits and the greatest potential for change lies in the trying to both learn something about yourselves and to do something we couldn't previously do. All that while following our general guidelines for yoga and, of course, the one that talks about non-violence, ahimsa, as we allow ourselves to move free from pain. So within this child's pose, let's explore our pressure points down towards the ground, where body touches body. And tune into the aspect of being turned inwards, with nothing really to see but maybe the mat underneath you. Allowing yourself to arrive fully in awareness with your whole being on the mat. Beginning to deepen the breaths and exploring the movement of the breaths as you could Let that flow from your belly to your ribs and up to the collarbones. And you could release that from the belly to the ribs, to the collarbones. Each breath flowing in that same pattern, in and out of your nose. Maybe adding a light constriction in the back of the throat and allowing Ujjayi, that beautiful sound that accompanies the breath, to occur. Aligning our awareness with the sensations that we feel in the body, the breath that is flowing. Allowing 2 more deep, full yogi or Ujjayi breaths. And whenever you have completed those, starting, if they aren't yet, to extend your arms out long in front of you and lifting the forehead off the support, finding a place on which we lift up onto our fingertips, building cups with our hands, elongating through the spine, keeping the gaze down and allowing a gentle shoulder roll, saddle shoulder roll backwards. So we're placing our shoulder blades a little bit closer down, releasing the shoulders into the sockets. From this point of extension, just planting the hands down, but changing nothing else. And when you're taking your next inhalation, just lifting your hips away from the heels. Bringing the knees in so they're aligning with the hips above them. The hands, however, step a little bit further forward to bring the wrists just slightly out from underneath the shoulders, allowing us more stability and more range of movement. Being strong in the arms, take a deeper lift out from the space between your shoulder blades. Ground actively down through the shins and the tops of your feet. And we will begin with extending the right leg back on an in-breath. Pushing out gently through the heel and allowing the toes to face to the ground, while we're realigning our center of gravity and shifting that between both arms and the legs still on the ground. With the next inhalation, point your toes. And with the exhalation, just draw your knee and nose together underneath your body. Very common movement. We'll repeat that once more. As we inhale now, press out through the heel and lengthen, pointing the foot while you're exhaling, drawing the knee back in. Now let's extend the leg back once more as we inhale. We'll add something to it. Let's point the foot while you breathe out to draw your knee under. Now, as you're inhaling, open your knee out towards the side. While you're exhaling, flex the foot and extend the leg sideways. Then point it as you inhale to circle the leg back. And we'll repeat that on the exhale, curling knee, nose together underneath. On the inhale, open your knee to the side. Flex the foot for the outbreath to extend the leg sideways. Then point the foot to circle the leg back on the inhale. Last round on the exhale, curling nose and knee together underneath. On the inhale, open your knee to the side. Flex the foot as you breathe out to extend the leg sideways. Point it again as you inhale to bring it back. And as you exhale, lower the knee down to the ground this time, noticing there's a lot of weight that was sitting over to the left-hand side. So maybe stretching your hips back slightly towards the right on the next out breath. On the inhale, rising again to all fours. And while you're breathing out, then stretching the hips a little bit backwards to the left. Inhale as you find your way to center. And then exhaling to retreat into child's pose. Now, if you can't rest your head down, that's okay. You can leave it hovering off the ground. Leaving your forearms on the mat right in front of you and turning the hands around so the palms are now facing up. As you allow yourself to settle into the shape again, breathe in and stretch your hands out and they might come all the way off the mat. And as you're breathing out, making soft fists as you curl all the fingers in. Repeat that twice more. On the inhale, spread out your fingers, open through the palms of your hands. And when you're breathing out, curl that back in, retreat deeper into the child's pose. Last round, inhale, spread your fingers, open your palms. And then soft fists as you're breathing out. As you open your hands again now, let the palms touch the floor again and maybe the forearms are still on the ground. Let your arms extend and reach back towards the front of the mat. And while you take your next inhale, come up onto all fours. Please do take time to assess your stance. Become firm again in your legs, hands, space between the shoulder blades, and kind of enjoying all of the support that you have while standing on all fours. With the next inhale, we'll change that by extending the left leg back. Point the heel towards the back of your space or mat, and the toes are pointing downwards. The head's an extension, a natural curve is still occurring in the back of the neck. Now point the toes as you inhale. And then with the out breath, simply draw nose and knee together underneath to round the body. We'll do that movement once more as we're inhaling. Stretch out through your heel. Point the foot while you're exhaling to draw your knee into the chest. We'll extend that again and then end our sequence. So while we bring length in on the in-breath, point the foot on your out-breath, draw it into the chest. On the inhale, open your knees sideways now. Flex the foot as you breathe out to extend the leg out to the side. Pointing the foot as you circle the leg back, realigning your body. On the out-breath, drawing nose and knee together underneath. On the inhale, open your knee to the side. Flex the foot on the out-breath, extend the leg sideways. Point the foot while you're inhaling to circle the leg back. And one more round on the out-breath, bring your knee in towards your nose. On the inhale, open your knee to the side. Flex the foot for the out-breath, extend your leg sideways. Point the foot and breathe in to bring it back. Breathe out to bring your knee down to the ground and regain the stability of standing on all fours. We'll stretch back into the child's pose again. On the out breath, reach back to the left side. On the inhale, back to all fours. Reaching back more towards the right side. On the inhale, coming back. And on the next out breath, sitting all the way back to the heels, rest the forearms back down. Once more, opening the palms of the hands. Head can rest down, but not essential. And I would like you now to wiggle basically your fingers as you're folding in from the little finger and then all the fingers until the thumb comes in for that soft fist. And we'll undo that then from the thumb to the index finger, unfolding all of the fingers, spreading out through the hands. Let's do that one more time, folding in from the little finger, one at a time, as we're curling our hands into fists. And undoing the fists by starting with thumb, index finger, until the hands are open again. We'll then turn the palms back down onto the mat. You might draw your hands in, resting the forehead down again, maybe onto stacked hands, arms, fists. And returning to a few rounds of full yogic breathing. Breathing in from the belly to the ribs, to the collarbones. And out in that same pattern, belly, ribs to collarbones. Exploring yourself, the response in the body from our first set of movements. You next completed a breath. Extend the arms forward while you're inhaling, head lifts again off the ground. And kind of pull yourself back up onto all fours while you're breathing out. Tuck the toes under as you breathe in. And with the next exhale, round your spine up as you lift your knees into downward facing dog. Start straight away to walk out this down dog as you encourage one heel to the floor, the other knee bends a little bit more. And beginning to take this walk then to the top end of the mat. Placing your feet down at about hip distance. Releasing the forehead to face to the space between the knees. Allowing the knees to be bent enough for your belly to rest upon so the spine is more supported. And then if it feels good, could you reach with each hand for the opposite elbow? Allowing a little sway from side to side. Now we will keep the arms hanging down underneath the shoulders. But while you take your next inhale, lengthen the spine forward like in a half lift. If it is too much, you can use your hands against your legs. And with the out breath, let your belly release back over the thighs, the head hang down. We'll do that 2 more times. As we inhaling, lengthen, reach your spine forward, use your core to stabilize. And when you're breathing out, folding back down. One more, breathing in as you're lifting forward, shoulders in their sockets. On the out breath, release down. Also release your hands. And then use your next exhalation and slide lower belly, switch on to curl up into standing. We'll lift both arms up on the inhale, and we might just pause here for a moment, getting a sense of grounding down through the feet, further reaching right up towards the sky. Your gaze here is optional. Engage a little bit into the glutes. So from here, might you try and lift your heels a bit off the ground as if you could touch the sun right above you. And land your heels back down. Draw your hands through the midline as you're exhaling into Uttanasana, or standing forward bend. With the inhale, slide the hands up, lengthen forward again, half lift. And as you breathe out, stepping your right foot back into a lunge. Landing the hands down onto the mat. We will step that front foot back into a downward facing dog. If this is too much, you can practice from all fours. We will lift our left leg up again for an in-breath. We will bend the knee and open it out to the side as we've practiced on all fours before. Be mindful now that your shoulders are still in line with each other. Taking your left foot and stepping that roughly to the middle of the mat with your toes pointing out towards the side. You can choose to roll onto the outer edge of your right foot to practice from, or you could lower your right knee to the ground. Let's bring the right forearm down as well. And take an inhale to lift the left arm straight up towards the ceiling. Push your hips up a little bit higher. Release the hips down towards the ground as you swing your arm down. And then lift back up as you're breathing in, reaching the arm up, lifting the hip. A breath out to swing the hip down, release the arm down. Do that again, inhaling, lift your arm, lift your hip. Exhale, swing that down. Place this forearm down onto the mat. Step the left foot back. Maybe the right knee comes off the ground and we're extending out to the heels while the tailbone is drawing towards the heels. Your choice to be here or on your knees. Have a smile down to your mat. Then bring your knees to the ground. Untuck your toes. Activate your lower tummy and carefully just releasing the hips down. While we're lifting into a swings variation, the heart opening, the gaze opening towards the front, remaining active as you engage down into the tops of the feet. Maybe the knees are lifting. Potentially the pubic bone is pushing down into the ground more. As you get that deeper lift through your heart, take another inhale. And then when you're exhaling, let your elbows spread out and slowly lower down. As you land on the stacked hands, the forehead is down towards the ground. Let your hands slide now back towards the sides of the rib cage, keeping the elbows pointing upwards. On your next inhale, come up to all fours. Tuck the toes under. Round your spine up, come back to down dog. The alternative of practicing from all fours, of course, counts for everything here. We will lift our right leg up now as we're breathing in. On the exhale, bring the knee to the chest and aim with your foot between your hands. Come to your fingertips as you're extending your spine. And then lower the left heel to the ground. Let your hands come between your legs and turn your toes in the direction you are facing now as we inhale here. And then with the exhale, folding down between the legs for a wide-legged forward bend. We will lift our shoulders gently into the socket, the hands remaining underneath the shoulders as we're folding forward a little bit deeper. Notice how you positioned the weight in the feet, leaning just slightly forward within the feet. No part of the foot is lifted off the ground. Just a gentle shift of weight to let the tailbone rise a bit more. Maybe the forward bend becomes deeper. Let us breathe in and lift up onto the fingertips again. Soften the right knee, turning your toes forward. And we will curl up right from the center on this out breath. Extending both legs as we're lifting both arms up. Take a breath in. And as you're breathing out, bend the right knee and come into a warrior two. So traditionally, the palms are facing down. If you feel any stress in upper back or shoulders, you can turn the palms up. Just allowing yourself to feel as if you're right in the middle of this shape with your upper body, and encouraging the feet to help you lift this shape into a higher ground. While we are inhaling next, let's lift the back heel and the arms, both of them, for a high lunge. We'll release the hands down to the mat on the exhale. We'll come onto the fingertips and extending through the spine on the inhale. And with the next out breath, stepping the left foot to meet the right into a forward fold. Now, I'd like you, if possible, to adjust the feet back to a comfortable hip distance, to bring your knees back to the bend that they had before, to rest your belly upon and let your spine be supported. If you were holding on to the elbows, we will change the arm on top. So you might reach with your unusual arm towards the opposite elbow first and then let the other join in. As you allow your spine to hang out long, might add a sway from side to side. We'll go back into a half lift. Feel free to make it even more intense this time. Either arms stay underneath the shoulders as you inhale to lengthen, or both arms lifting up around the head, bearing extra weight. And when you're breathing out, soften back down. Two more like this. Inhaling, lift and lengthen your spine. Both arms might be wrapped around the head as an extra challenge. And when you're breathing out, softening back down. Do that one more time, lifting up halfway. Try and stretch out your spine no matter where you choose your arms to be. And then folding back down. Let your hands release towards the mat. Inhale now, hands sliding up for a supported half lift. And while you're breathing out, this time we're stepping the left foot back. Planting your hands down onto the mat. Take the right foot into a downward facing dog. We will lift our right leg. Yes, right leg up, taking a breath in. Bend the knee and open your knee out towards the side. Now that we're here, realigning the weight bearing in your arms and maybe the positioning of the shoulders. With the next exhale, step this right foot into the middle of the mat with your toes pointing sideways. Same choices. You can roll to the outer edge of the left foot, or you can lower your left knee down to the ground. We'll place the left forearm onto the mat, and we'll take an inhale to extend the right arm to the ceiling. 3 rounds here as we swing the arm down, lowering the hips towards the floor. And while you breathe in, extend your arm and lift the hips again. Breath out, swing. Breath in, Lift the hips, lift your arm. Last round, exhale. And inhale to lift and extend. Now, let the right arm come down. Turn to the front. And you might step that right foot back into a half forearm plank, or you might make it a full forearm plank with both knees off the ground. Holding here, extending out through heels if knees off the ground, and we'll all draw our tailbone in the direction of the heels. Stay for another breath. Then release your knees to the mat, flatten out your feet, engage the lower abdomen, and carefully lower the hips back down for a swings. This time, please separate your hands, place the palms down onto the ground, lift right from your heart. Make sure the back of the neck is an extension of the curve you've created around your upper back, and press down through the tops of the feet. Lightly encourage the pubic bone into the ground. And if any of you feeling happy, healthy in your back, you can use your hands only as you lift your forearms off the ground, a deeper extension into the spine. But be careful that your shoulders aren't draping up to the ears. Leave them nicely low, and we'll take one more breath. We'll inhale again. And when you're exhaling, spread the elbows out again, stack your hands, a brief crocodile as you place the forehead onto the stacked hands, softening into the shape. Let your hands now slide back by the floating ribs, elbows sticking up into the air. On the inhale, come to your fours, tuck your toes under, round your back up into a downward facing dog. Left leg will lift on the in-breath. Point the foot, bring your nose towards the knee towards the nose, and aim with your foot between your hands. Lower the right heel. Let your hands come between the legs. Turn your toes in the direction you're facing. Lengthen your spine forward like a half lift. And then return into Sarita Padottanasana, the right-legged forward fold. Getting a slight lift into the shoulders, back into the sockets. Your hands again planted down or hanging underneath the shoulders. Knees can be soft. And notice again where the weight is sitting in this shape within your feet. The feet still connected to the ground, but a subtle shift forward towards the balls of the feet, allowing the tailbone to be high. Breathe in fully. Breathe out with a gentle activation, the lower belly drawing inwards towards the tailbone. Using and playing around with Mula Bandha root lock. One more breath here. When you're ready, lift up onto your fingertips, lengthen the spine. We're turning our left foot towards the short end of the mat. And we're curling up right from here. Extending both legs as you're stretching both arms up towards the ceiling. And when you're breathing out, bring a bend into the left knee and arrive in a warrior two or Virabhadasana two. Same option here. Palms usually facing down unless your shoulders and upper back needs the palms to be facing upwards. Gaze your drishti is forward. I'd love you to feel now from the ground upwards, utilizing the feet optimally with the arches being away from the ground and using that sense of lifting from the floor to reach right up towards the crown of the head. While you're sort of determined, looking forward and moving forward in your day. With the next inhale now, lift your back heel off the ground, reaching both arms up for high lunge. With the exhale, bring the hands back down to the floor. Step the foot forward as we come to a half lift inhale. And bending down completely while breathing out. Using your core to slowly curl up into standing. Letting your shoulders roll back and opening the palms of the hands. Now I've only changed sides so you can see me better. Please stay standing at the front of the mat. I would invite you to really feel the ground underneath you, and if that means that you're rocking a little bit over the feet or circling, that might be a good way to deepen that connection. I will ask you now to fly your arms out while you're bending both of your knees. Lifting the right knee up. And allowing the right ankle to rest on the left thigh. Keep the ankle joint in flexion, the toes drawing back towards the knee. And I will ask you then, if your balance is good, to sink in deep and touch the hands together in front of your chest. If you feel you would like to go even deeper, lean the forearms down towards the lower leg. If you feel you would like to go deeper, touch your fingertips towards the ground. Maybe in that case, even bring your nose towards the knee. Kind of a standing half pigeon shape. We will release this shape as we curl it up, if we're lucky. Lifting the right knee then together with the arms as we breathe in. And let's bring the hands to the heart as we're stepping into a lunge. For the inhale, reach your arms up, high lunge. Lower the heel and back to warrior two on the out breath. Pause again, return your drishti, your gaze point, to the front hand fingertips while you are maintaining the shape here. For your next inhalation, straighten both legs, reach both arms up, turn your toes forward. And as you're breathing out, soften the knees, let your arms reach out to the sides and come back into a standing wide-legged forward bend. Your hands just sliding down the outside of your legs. If you can comfortably pistol grip your big toes, you might do that instead. You can also keep your gaze down on the floor for this variation, or bring the gaze back between the legs. If you're feeling comfortable, let your elbows spread out as you deepen your forward fold. Lifting gently through the shoulders. Remaining within this forward bend for 2 more breaths. You completed those. Place the hands back down in the center, lifting up halfway as you're inhaling. Turning your left toes again to the front end of the mat and bringing a bend into the knee. Let your hands come towards the inside of this knee at the front here. Lift up onto the fingertips from that position just to lengthen your spine out. And then take your hands behind your back and interlace them there, lengthening the arms down your spine as you breathe in. You could keep them here as you lower down for a humble warrior, but you might also be able to lift the arms away from your back, keeping the arms lifted if you like, the head low, and the same sensations in the feet that you would have gained from a warrior two position. One more breath. Then let your hands come back down either side of your left foot. Lift your right heel and step back into downward facing dog. I will invite you for a slow vinyasa. If you prefer to rest or go into cat-cow, that's your choice. As you inhale, roll it forward to a plank variation. When you exhale, lower on or toward your mat. On the inhale, lifting into cobra or up dog. And your out breath is the first part that takes you back towards a downward facing dog. And there could be a couple of breaths in that transition. We'll hold the down dog from there. So I'd ask you to bring a little bit of a bend into the knees, unless you're hypermobile. In that case, that's not necessary. But otherwise, the tailbone's reaching up high towards the ceiling and back. Notice where your shoulders are positioned. If they're creeping forward and framing your ears nicely, take them away from that. Roll them back into their sockets again as you open. Now take your feet for a walk and bring them back to the front end of the mat. Half lift when you arrive, inhale. Exhale, fold. Stay there while you're breathing in and use your lower belly muscles as you're exhaling to roll back up into standing. You can stay again at the front end of your mat as you arrive, taking your shoulders gently back and down. Feel into the feet again if you need to reposition them, just making sure that we've got a good connection to the ground to help us with the balance. While we're inhaling, bend both knees and let your arms come back out towards the sides. We will this time lift our left knee up. Placing the ankle to the thigh as we let the knee roll open, the toes are encouraging back towards that knee. And if you're feeling comfortable with that, bring your hands to touch, sink a little bit deeper, just like you would when you're sitting onto a stool or a chair. Your choice to remain at any stage, but there's an option to place the forearms down onto the lower leg. If you feel comfortable with that, you might want to reach your fingertips to the floor. And even tucking your nose towards the knee. Wherever you are, let us curl up into standing. Lifting your left knee and the arms. And then let us step back into a lunge, hands to the heart. With the inhale, reaching the arms up. With the exhale, lower the heel and let your arms come back into Warrior Two. Turning your drishti towards the front hand. Adjusting, positioning, palms facing up or down to your needs. Feel your feet. Strengthen your legs. And a sense of you moving forward with deeper strength, more focused. With your next breath in, lift both arms again, straighten the legs, turn your toes to face in the same direction. And then opening the arms out again as you soften your knees to fold back down. Hands can rest again somewhere against the outside of your legs, or you could come back to the pistol gripping of big toes. As you fold more deeply, the gaze can stay down on the floor, or the crown of the head can face to the mat. Weight lightly forward within the feet, shoulders lifted, a similar sensation to what you get from a down dog, but here there's no weight in your arms. The elbows can spread out to the sides as you deepen this forward fold. Stay with it and breathe. Explore what this feels like within your body. Stay connected to the breaths and the exhalations that help you with the deepening of this shape. We'll release our hands in front. We'll take an inhale for a half lift from this position. And we'll then turn our right toes back to the front end of the mat while taking the hands to the inside of that front leg. Keep the knee in a bend. Come to your fingertips and lengthen your back. From here, swing your arms behind your back and change the natural interlace to the awkward one. Lengthening the arms down as you reach forward with the crown of your head. And when you're breathing out, lower your upper body into humble warrior on the inside of your front knee. If you feel it's appropriate, lift the arms away from your back as well. And we'll pause here for a little while. Notice that there's more movement around the feet in this shape in comparison to the strong stance of a Warrior Two. The legs are kind of in the same position and bear the whole weight of the body. Now, let us release the hands down either side of that front foot. Lift your back heel for a lunge and step the front foot into a downward facing dog. While breathing in now, let's go through a flow as we're rolling forward into plank or kneeling plank. On your out breath, lower on or toward your mat. Cobra or up dog while inhaling. And the exhale, or 2 breaths leading you back to downward dog. Mind your shoulders. Maybe there's the softness coming back to the knees, the tailbone stretching high up and back. And I encourage nowadays a natural curve in the spine. So that subtle look down towards the mat right underneath you, that will take the neck away from the extension back into the natural curve. And with the softness in the knees, you might be able to feel the natural curve around your lower back as well. With this in mind, let's inhale to bring the knees down. Swing the feet over to one side and come down into a seated form. As you bring your feet in front, bring the soles of the feet to touch. We all have that same tendency, and it is a good one as you take a hold of your feet to shuffle around. Move a little bit from side to side. See how close your feet can get or how far away you enjoy to have them. Keeping this hold as you find stillness in the center and just holding on to lengthen through the back while we're breathing in. And then while we keep the sit bones steady, we're swaying from side to side. We're finding our way forward and down. Your elbows might reach in front of the shins and your nose could lower down towards your toes. Stay here for a little and see if you can allow your knees to be heavier. Maybe a sensation of stretch comes to the inner thighs. After your next in-breath, use the out-breath to round your spine back up into sitting. Make sure that you actually have your mat behind you as we explore to lift our feet off the ground. You can take a hold on the outer edges of the feet or use a pistol grip of big toes. If you know your arms have a tendency to be too short for this experience, you might take a hold of your ankles or lower legs. Taking the feet off the ground if that works. Kind of finding that space between the sit bones in which we balance for both shapes. And let us try to take the feet apart and lift them a little bit more. If you are able to straighten the legs in this position, totally an option. Try and keep your shoulders down, your gaze forward. Allowing balance. And then we will bend our knees and roll onto our back. Extending your legs out wide again. Your choice of letting go of the feet if your arms feel you can't extend the legs. And just take a hold of the legs somewhere comfortable instead. You might even choose to hold onto the backs of the thighs for that, keeping your heels extending upwards, the toes downwards. You could close the eyes now if you feel comfortable with that. Take a deep breath in. Have a big sigh out. And then guiding your legs back to come together. Take your hands onto your kneecaps as you bend your knees and the heels lowering towards the buttocks. Option. In-breath, arms and legs extending to the ceiling or your arms extending to the floor behind the head, alternatively. As you're breathing out, take a hold of your knees and squeeze them back into the chest, Apanasana. On the inhale, lift. On the exhale, draw the knees back into the chest. We'll do that for one last round. Inhaling, extending arms and legs. Exhaling to bring the knees to the chest. Allowing your feet to land on the mat, maybe in a comfortable distance. Let your arms come out, palms might face up. You could have the arms at shoulder height or a little bit lower. And now let your knees roll all the way towards the right-hand side. If you find this challenging, you could place a block between your legs or a cushion. As we're resting here, you might turn your gaze towards your left hand. It's an option there to close the eyes. Allowing yourself to feel and trace the parts of the body, the side of the body that's facing upwards, maybe from the shoulder down to the side of the waist, over the bent leg to the foot. As you bring your head back to center on an inhale, use your core to pull the knees up on the exhale. So lie back on your back. On your next out breath, let the knees fall to the left, holding them here, and your gaze might extend to the right. Be comfortable and grounded through your shoulders. And you might trace the upper side of the body again, from the right shoulder, across the side of the waist, all the way over buttocks and hips, through bent legs, to your foot. With the next inhale, bring your head into center. Use your inner strength as you breathe out to bring your knees back up. If you're comfortable right now, just lower the arms a bit further down by the sides, but keep them away from the body for Shavasana. You could place your knees together here, or you can slide the legs out long, letting the toes roll out to the sides. Make sure the back of the neck is lengthened rather than the head falling back. And you can use cushions, bolsters, and blankets now to make yourself comfortable. An eye pillow is a nice thing for comfort as well, especially while the sun is shining into your space. Have as many movements as you need to find a still resting space. Feel into the back of your body. Pressure points on the floor, the mat. And feel the opposite in the rest of the body. Space around. Noticing the ebb and flow of the breath coming through the nostrils and rocking maybe your tummy. Giving your body time to absorb. Time to be still. Card for today, a sea of blessings. The universe is a projection from within you. and you are a projection of the universe. You are vast space, and yet you are spaceless. You are a divine ocean of love, a sea of blessings. You are the wind of change that flows through life. You are resting and have time to continue the rest, please feel free to do so. If you would like to complete our practice today, begin to deepen your breath and start some movement into your body. Gradually making your way over onto your side and then into a seated shape. You allow the backs of your hands to come to rest into your lap or onto your knees. Open palms facing upwards. Connecting from the palms of your hands into your heart. Receiving all the love of the universe. Receiving all the blessings. And allow one particular blessing that you have, one thing that you're incredibly grateful for, big or tiny, to come to your mind. Capturing that and your love as you draw your hands together in front of your heart, touching the thumbs lightly to the sternum and a gentle light bow of the head to the heart space. To finish our practice with one Om, followed by 3 Shanties for peace. Let's inhale and exhale first. Then inhaling for the Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. As we bow to each other, Namaste.